Yo, yo, yo. Jared James 4 here. Just gonna bring you a little build video. I'm just gonna do Tyrone for now. Go over some Tyrone builds that I like to use. And just explain why I use what passives and yeah, all that bullshit. So right now I like rapid response just because personally I like speedrunning. So this helps. This also helps if you get like a low rank mastermind that doesn't really know what they're doing. And you can just speed run because like you're not gonna need safeguard against them, obviously. The other thing with rapid response is it still gives you a 50% defense boost. But you will want to make sure that if your Tyrone has rapid response, that when an X or an enemy is out and he uses rapid response, make sure you use a yellow herb. A yellow herb with rapid response is basically just as good as safeguard. It's still not quite as good, but you know. And I mean, obviously, safeguard with a yellow herb, you're like invincible. But this helps. I mean, there's situations where you use safeguard where you just gotta back off anyways, and rapid response lets you do that quicker. Barge, in my opinion, is the only thing you should be using on Tyrone just because of the doors. Pumped up is not bad, to be honest with you, because of that 9 seconds. Sidekick is a lot of fun if you want to, like, if you just want to have fun, Sidekick is very fun. But if you're trying to play competitively, it's not the greatest skill. I used to be a Turno Gear Tyrone. These days, I'm a weapon handling Tyrone. Just to help out with creatures, since we lost some of our best Sam mains on the team. I've kind of been thinking of trying out Breach and Clear, but I've never really tested it, so yeah. Seems cool, though, for what it does. First responder, like, during the first month of this game, I was a first responder Tyrone. Back before it got nerfed, you could put on... I think if you did all three, it was literally like you would touch their, like, Tyrone would put 2 fingers on the survivor's chest, and they would be up. We called that the touch Jesus. They nerfed it, and now Tyrone's gotta, like, give your chest a little rub, and then you're all better. But, yeah. Turtle Gear, obviously very good. It's mainly a counter to Infection Alex with traps and Trap Alex. Breach and Clear could kind of do the same thing, I guess, but only on doors. Which, I mean, there are masterminds that have trap explosions right behind a door, so that would actually be really good for those situations. Personally, I'm a second wind Tyrone. Resilience is not the greatest skill. I mean, I suppose in the event where you ran out of green herbs, this would kind of help, but the damage it restores is very little and it takes a long time. I think it's like 50 health, like every 7 seconds or something, so it's really not much at all. Elusive, another skill that I don't really ever use. I mean, the thing with second wind is this is universally good. Elusive, only good against creatures, so if you get a Nikolai or something... I mean, he might have imposters or something, but like, most of the time this is not even going to be used if it's a Nikolai. I mean, you could kind of say the same thing about second winds, like you don't use it in a lot of games because of first aid sprays. But for those exit door builds where you need a clutch second wind fade spray play, I can't give up second wind. It's too good. Plus sometimes I like to push ahead of everyone, die second wind, and then die all over again. But I mean, if you're gonna do shit like that, like don't just do it just for the sake of dying and second winding. Like, you have to be taking all of the mastermind's focus off of your teammates and making sure that that mastermind is only focusing you for as long as possible to buy your teammates enough time to push and do what they have to do. Because if you just die second wind and then die again in the span of 5 seconds, it literally does nothing good for the team. But if you take up a minute of the mastermind's time, that's a minute your team has to, you know, push. But yeah, a defensive. This is a good skill, not one I use that often. I mean, personally, my theory on this is, you know, just don't get hit in the first place. Yeah, you know, just don't. I suppose, like, in the event where you want to tank a neck, I don't know. It's a whatever skill, man. It makes you Superman and it makes you undying, I guess, in a way. It doesn't really help much against infection, Alex. At least if they have contagion, though. You're still gonna die because of contagion. And then you're not gonna have second wind to get back up. So, you know, good luck. Anyways, moving on to equipment. So right now I have like a USB build. So these days, if I'm doing USB, I only use USB 5. That is all that is necessary. I've beaten Lin Kuei many times with this. I've beaten everyone with this. I've beaten Dark with this. If Ranger Danger Live was still playing the game, and he was playing Terminal Spencer, I would say that you need USB 7. He is the only person you need USB 7 for, specifically if he's playing Terminal Spencer. Otherwise, USB 5 gets the job done. However, there are exceptions to that, like if you guys have a terrible Area 1 and you're already low on time, USB 5 might not cut it because you're going to have to force the swipe, and with USB 5 sometimes you can't do that. The other thing is if you use USB 5, it is very hard, not impossible, but very, very hard to get a swipe after kicking a bioweapon. So like if you have USB 7, you could kick X, run to the terminal, get the swipe, just fine. If you have USB 5, you have to be like standing right on top of the terminal, kick X, turn and start doing it right away. So it's it's more difficult to get a swipe in front, a lot more difficult to get a swipe in front of a bioweapon with USB 5. But if your team is really good, USB 5 is all you need. So with that, personally on Tyrone, because he's slow as fuck, I always have speed, so I got skateboard and dog tag. Now, I've seen some people have army boots here for some reason. Don't do that. If you're using USB 5, skateboard fits with dog tag. Put skateboard with dog tag instead of army boots. If this was Ranger Danger Live for some reason, I would use USB 7 with skateboard. This is what I used to use for a long time, except for I had safeguard and I had turnout gear. So I was no damage, skateboard Tyrone, USB 7, with all this shit. It's not a bad build. Now, if you want to go damage Tyrone, you definitely want weapon handling. Damage Tyrone, do Iron Nails, well, I mean, I do. I do Iron Nails 3 with dog tag. And this is where you gotta use army boots instead of skateboard, so that way you can fit first aid spray. You could also do USB 7 with first aid spray. There's obviously other Tyrone builds you could do. You could do like a tanky Tyrone, but I'm not that into those things. Because like my general, let's set up one. My general consensus on this shit is like bulletproof vest 3, people like supplements 3 obviously, then they'll do like steroids or some shit. And then you would put on defensive. You could do breach and clear with that to even make yourself even more tankier. Like that would be a good. I mean, if you're going tank, you would put safeguard on, probably. So it'd be like safeguard, barge, breach and clear, defensive, bulletproof vest 3, supplement 3, steroids, and I mean for the last one, I don't really. I would probably put damage in there at that point because, yeah. The only thing with these builds are, like, generally if you're getting hit this much, you're feeding a lot of time. Which, like, I would probably rather you just die and someone first aid you than you take, like, 2 minutes in time loss because you're unkillable. You know what I mean? I don't know. So, I'm not the biggest fan of tank builds, but they are good. I've seen people use them really well. It's just not my thing. Yeah. Put my shit back on. Army boots, really good for Tyrone. Like, any sort of speed on Tyrone is good just because he's slow as fuck. And he's the pusher, right? So, let's say you gotta go back for a teammate, and then... And especially if you're a USB Tyrone, man, you want some sort of speed because... You gotta get to those terminals, man. Defensive, but fuck that shit. Anyways... I guess that's all. Just, you know, those are my Tyrone builds. Peace out, y'all. If you want to see any other Survivor builds, just let me know.